Hello, my name is Eyuwema Aniodiaisi, and today I'll be presenting on the topic poverty in contemporary UK, the definition, the changes and measurements, how it has evolved over time and the methods used in measuring it. Poverty has affected the lives of millions of people, and understanding the absolute and relative definition of poverty, the changes in poverty in Britain, and the methods of measuring poverty. Roughly 1 in 5 people in the United Kingdom were in poverty in 2022 and 2023, with the figure of poverty jumping to 12 million in this period, representing a rise of 600,000. This was presented by BBC in 2024. This is the biggest increase in absolute poverty in the UK in the last 30 years. While scholars and researchers define poverty in different ways, absolute and relative poverty measures are used widely all around the world, though there is no single universally accepted definition of poverty, because poverty means different things to different people. The aim of this presentation is to evaluate the definitions of poverty, examine how it has evolved in time, and learn to measure it. These are the universally accepted definition of poverty, which is absolute and relative poverty. The meaning of absolute. Absolute means complete. Absolute poverty, according to the UK Parliament in 2024, refers to the lack of sufficient resources that can help keep body and soul together. Researchers and organizations give different definitions of absolute poverty. When we say absolute poverty, this is when a household is unable to provide their basic needs such as food, clothing and shelter. The United Nations UN 2025 regards a poor person as someone unable to afford basic essentials such as food, housing and clothing. There are various strengths and limitations of this definition. On the other hand, we also have relative poverty. What is the meaning of relative? Relative means comparison, well also known as relative deprivation. It uses income or resources as a measure of poverty in relation to the average. A household is in relative poverty if its income falls below 50% of the median income of the country. In such a case, comparison is done between people living the lowest standard of life and the people living the highest standard of life. It is put together and the median is taken. If the income of an household falls below 60% of the median, then that household is said to live in relative poverty. There are various strengths and limitations of this definition. Overall, absolute poverty and relative poverty help set standards for determining if the income and living condition of the poor in the society are acceptable or not, and developing the best strategies to help such people. Now I'll be talking about the changes in poverty in Britain. Poverty has been a persistent issue throughout history. Poverty has always been a challenge for humans. This was said by Krim et al. In 2022. In Britain, various factors such as economic shifts, government policies, and social changes have brought about key changes in the nature of poverty. This was taken from UK Parliament in 2024. In ancient societies, poverty was common because of limited resources, economic inequality, and a lack of social safety nets. As British society evolved over time, changes in the nature of poverty took place, with the key drivers of this transformation including industrialization, urbanization, and economic system changes. Industrial revolution, welfare state, and social reform movements in 18th to early 20th century. Looking at the Industrial Revolution, welfare state, and social reform movements in 18th to early 20th century. In the 18th and 19th centuries, especially during the Industrial Revolution, rapid technology advancements and urbanization occurred, resulting in major transformation in economies as well as societies in Britain. This was said by Gaisley in 2003. While in the mid-late 20th to 21st century in Britain, poverty reduction was a global focus. In 2000, the United Nations established the Millennium Development Goals, which contains targets for achieving improved living conditions and lower levels of poverty. Changes to poverty in the 21st century. In the 21st century, efforts aimed at reducing poverty concentrated on sustainable development and solving root causes of the problem. This was said by Briggs in 2020. On this page, you can see the chart showing how poverty has evolved over time in Britain. Year on year, percentage point change in the number of people who can't afford a fixed standard of living. For example, if the income of the person increases, the standard of the lives of the family would increase. So its poverty has continued to increase in 2022-2023, which has been the highest increase in poverty for the past 30 years. This chart was gotten from BBC 2024. Relative income in the UK in 2022 to 2023. 11.4 million people, 17% were in relative poverty before housing costs, and 14.3 million after housing costs, resulting in 21%. This includes 3.2 million children living in poverty before housing costs and 4.3 million after housing costs, 30%. The percentage of people in relative low income in 2022 and 2023 was at a similar level to and before the pandemic. This was taken from Department of Work and Pension in 2024. Methods of measuring poverty. We've got three methods of measuring poverty. 1. Households 60% below average income, which is also known as HBAI. Persistent poverty and absolute low income are the three primary measures of poverty in modern times in the United Kingdom. This was taken from the UK Parliament in 2024. As you can see the charts there, the UK population ordered by income, the lowest earners, the middle earners, and the highest earner. So if you earn less than 60% of what the UK median earners earn, you are classified as poor. HBAI is a measure of equivalized disposable income below 60% of the national median. Equivalized is a term that means the measure considers household size, the earnings in comparison to the number of people in a particular household. Also have absolute low income. This measure of poverty uses a threshold as a proportion of the average income in the UK in a specific year and only varies directly with inflation. How do we measure poverty? The relative income poverty, that is below 60 median equivalized household income. Severe poverty is 40% and below. Fixed threshold poverty, which is the absolutes, and we also have the relative expenditure poverty. On that chart, you can see our poverty level, the pensioners, the working adults, the children. You can see pensioners, they fall below 10%. Working adults fall within 20 to 30%. Meanwhile, children fall within 30 to 40%, living in poverty. HBAI helps to track income disparities. Low income measure trends over time. And persistent poverty identifies the most vulnerable population. This method helps to inform the policies aimed at reducing poverty. Each of these measurements provides valuable insights into the different aspects of poverty and promotes social welfare. In conclusion, the problem of poverty in the United Kingdom is one that needs a holistic approach for assessment and policy intervention due to its complexity. Addressing it requires targeted social policy, economic reforms, and continued investment in welfare system to ensure an equitable society. Thanks for listening.